What up, YouTube? If you're here, good to see y'all. Jackson's coming in here in a minute. Hey, what up, Pocket Watch? Good to see you. If you're here live now, you are getting to see some behind the scenes. No, Matt. This is Ben. We use Matt's Zoom for the recording stuff. So anytime one of us is logged in as the leader, that's him. And we're recording onto my computer tonight. So you'll get used to a Pocket Watch, I promise. Hey, do me a solid. If you got an MVP, drop your MVP in the chat. Man, if you're watching this in the galleries later on YouTube, this is going to be the most boring beginning of an episode ever. Um, I know, Pocket Watch, I think you're the only one that's here live with me right now. I thought Jackson was coming fast. It looks like it's going to take a minute, but man, 44-point victory. The spread was 28 and a half. Hard to believe that we could cover a spread that big, but we didn't just cover, we blew it out of the water. It wasn't even close. And man, we got some fun players to talk about. I mean, when Tahad got in, it really made a huge difference. He had a couple of easy threes. And from then on, we were pretty much off to the races. It was incredible. Chad Baker Mazzara took a back seat to get Ja'Kai Howard into the game. And was he rewarded in spades? We might have a true backup at that 3-4 combo spot now. No more SEMO minutes in crunch time, hopefully. It's 52-27 at the half. It was 98-54 at the final. We held them to 27 points a half. That's just crazy. Richmond was not having a great shooting season coming into this. Their season numbers were pretty rough. They were averaging only 71 points a game. Let's see what they get their percentages here. Yeah, 42% from the field, only 29% from three. I think we held them to even less than that. It was pretty impressive. All right, here he is, YouTube, the man of the hour. Oh, we got three in the chat now. Who is here besides Pocket Watch? Drop your names in. Come on.
Whoa, there you go.
Hey. All right, everyone. The Pod Daddy is here.
Thanks for
Jackson. It's gonna be the most boring beginning to an episode imaginable.
Oh, for the live thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if people actually watch it like that or what, you know.
But Pocket Watch was here right on time, I'll have you know, and then everybody else has sort of been drifting in. We got three watching live right now.
That's good. That's good. I don't expect a ton tonight. People are really, clambering over talking Richmond after we dominated them so badly.
Oh, man. Pocket Watch says he and Canoe Man were at the game today, and they watched the women's game, too. We got the rare double eagle.
Nice.
Men and women won today. All right, Jax, I'm going to take us in. You ready to get it started?
Hold on just a second. I pull something up. That'll be good.
And I'll pull up Ferg's stat sheet.
Oh, great. Yeah, that would be good.
I know how you love some Justin Ferguson stats. Man,
that's the best one for sure.
Complete domination.
Watch in the chat. Love to see.
Oh, and that freaking Ja'Kai dunk was something else.
Oh, Mr. Beautiful checking in.
Oh, Mr. Beautiful's here. Hell yeah.
And whenever you get Fergs up, we can get started.
All right. Going live in three. Wait, me there's going live in three, two.
All right, we are back with another edition of the Jungle Podcast with another Auburn victory. We avoided the trap spiders of Richmond. We have won 98 to 54, a 44-point victory. I'm not big into gambling or anything like that, but I know the line was huge for this game, and we still covered 44 points. We've got Jackson Garrett hosting here, and we've got your other favorite host, Ben Young, on the mic. So we're going to talk a little Auburn victory tonight.
Jackson, what a victory it was. I cannot wait for this to get going. I mean, we absolutely crushed today. We saw some key players step up in some key moments. But if you're a fan of the Jungle Auburn podcast, you know what we'd like to start with. Jackson, let's get into that MVP discussion.
Well, I've got our MVP stuff pulled up over here on Reddit, so I wanted to see what the Reddit crowd said because it was quite the team effort. If we were a little less adherent to our rule that we have to pick somebody, it'd be a great one to just pick a team MVP. But I like sticking to having to pick one person because it creates a lot of good conversation and it makes us really kind of talk about the game. But over here on Reddit, Ribs and Whiskey said Jakai took his medicine and showed out. TG Rogan 21 said Jakai Howard, but you can pretty much pick 4 or 5 players to be MVP. Team scoring, rebounding, and assists. Agreed. Keep Cool Coolidge, another legend. Miles Kelly, he says, filled up the stat sheet and scored super efficiently with 4 or 5 from three. In a game with no standout scores because we were sharing it evenly, the three steals it in the tiebreaker for me. I love that he's breaking that down in such a way that we would talk about it on the jungle. Last one is CID Engineer 42. He says Miles Kelly for MVP also. He showed what we've been looking for from a shooting guard, extremely efficient, especially from three, with a full stat sheet and 0 turnovers. I think there's argument for Howard, Pettiford, and CBM too. Hate to see Janai's double streak in, but glad he gets so much rest in a blowout W. Let us know in the YouTube if you have any MVP thoughts. Ben, what do you think about some of those comments there? It was pretty even all around.
I mean, that seems to be the way it is everywhere. I'm looking at our Twitter poll right here, and right now, around 25% saying Jakai Howard, congratulating his big night, making back in the rotation. CBM, only 6% of the vote. I'm kind of shocked there. Chad Baker Mazara had a fantastic night. You already talked about his numbers: 13 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Just incredible distribution from our do it all Swiss Army knife on offense. But running away with that vote is Todd Pettiford. And ladies and gentlemen, that's not just because he was our leading scorer with 15 points tonight. When Tahad came off the bench, it was a shot in the arm for this team. We were struggling to hit some shots early. We were manufacturing the looks that we wanted to get. The ball was just not going in. Denver Jones, our point guard tonight, finished 3 of 8 from the 3-point line. All 3 of his hits were later in the game. Tahad Pettiford, 4 of 8 from behind the arc and 4 of 8 from the field. He did not take a 2-point shot this game. He came with the dagger. He brought it hard. He made his only free throw. And he finished with 3 assists and 3 rebounds as well. Jackson, what did you see from our 5-star freshman tonight?
Oh man, it's becoming. Yeah, I said it last in the Duke podcast that him shooting contested threes and them going in was no longer kind of lucky or oh, it's hitting a tough shot. That's just what he does. So I'm hoping that continues throughout the year. I'll be watching the rest of at conference. But yeah, he came in. We had open looks all day. We were passing the ball great. It was amazing out there. Open looks. They just weren't going in early, even in Neville Arena. So it was a little like, uh-oh. I was worried about the trap game. I clearly shouldn't have been. Bruce is a master at getting these guys motivated. And everybody was super motivated this game. And Richmond's just not very good. But
Yeah,
Pettiford
they're a
came in.
pretty bad
Yeah,
team.
Pettiford came in after things just weren't going down and just immediately started hitting threes in their face. It's really amazing to watch. He's so athletic. I think he's learning. He tried to take a charge tonight, which I thought was interesting because I think basically last game when he was getting back down and fouling, I think he was trying to figure something out, and I'd love to see it. I'd love to see him trying something new there and trying to figure out a different element to his game so he's learning. He's got some good passes too. It's not perfect right now, but I think he's really developing. It's just so interesting to see the Twitter poll, you, Reddit, our YouTube, everybody picking different people to be
Yeah.
our MVP, and it's really hard to choose. And I'm trying to think like the biggest storyline from this game is Jakai Howard. He is this freak of an athlete at the three position, the small forward that's behind CBM. He looked like a freak in our dunk contest at Toomer's Corner. He looked like a freak in his first, I believe, two games in Neville Arena before we went out to Houston, I believe it was. And he got into a fight on an airplane, or there was some sort of story about a fight on an airplane with him and Hudson, and they just hit the bench. And we have barely seen them. You've heard on this podcast me arguing enough with the CBM minutes. I don't know what the punishment is, but I want to see Ja'Kai Howard out there learning because he is a freak. And right now, all we're relying on CBM is, not CBM, Chris Moore is play good defense and just be solid out there. The difference with Howard is he's an athletic freak, and we saw it. He had an amazing, couple amazing dunks, man. It started right off with a huge dunk. He had a great one that was my favorite dunk personally, where he was on the 3-point line. So went passed out to his 3-point line. That would have been another pass from Chris Moore or trying to shoot that shot. He put the ball down, dribbled it like aggressively, and just threw a hard dunk down before you like two steps, and he was already dunking the ball. And I thought, man, coming, that's what you want to see. CBM does it sometimes, but not anywhere near as quickly as Ja'Kai Howard did. He had another amazing one-handed dunk on top of people that's going to make SportsCenter top 10. He hit a three even. He was one of two from three. He just looked like a freak out there. I want to give him MVP just because it was such a big deal for him to break out in his first game back from this pseudo secretive punishment or whatever it was. So I don't like that's where I'm starting with, but I would like to hear arguments on I could see Pettiford 100% too, and maybe I'm just because I'm so happy about the Howard one. It's maybe
I
he
mean,
wasn't the
look,
MVP this game, but he was amazing.
you're not going to hear any arguments from me about what a relief it is to see Ja'Kai Howard come in. He played 21 minutes tonight. So not just like some chump change time or like a couple of SEMO rotations. He moved into the game and he made an impact while he was out there. He finished with 13 points and 4 rebounds in his 21 minutes. He also hit a 3-pointer tonight, Jackson, which you know is crucial from that forward combo power position in a Bruce Pro offense. But if there's an argument for one other player besides Tahad and Ja'Kai, it's CBM, in part because of the leadership he showed, willing to take a minutes cut. Now, granted, it is against Richmond, one of the worst teams in Ken Palm ratings, both on offense and on defense. The spread was 28 and a half points, which means Vegas was saying that Auburn is going to beat this team by nearly 30. So the fact that we beat them by 44 is already crazy enough as it is, but it just goes to show you how big the talent gap was here. But CBM, he still willingly took less minutes tonight so that Ja'Kai could get more rotations. You've heard Matt on this podcast talking about how he can be such a wild card for us. He's questioned his maturity and definitely questioned his leadership at times. But I think we saw it against Duke with the fact that he didn't have any ticky-tack fouls called at the end, even though he was under a microscope. And I think you see it here today where instead of being the selfish guy saying, no, I've earned those minutes, he's giving them up knowing that the team is what's most important here. And CBM did not finish with a modest stat line himself. Again, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, stuffing the stat sheet. So shout out to CBM. And it's hard to understate the value of a guy like Tahad Pettiford, a guy that can hit a 3-pointer in your face, but more importantly, and most importantly for me, a guy that's going to hit him in rhythm, a guy that's going to hit your open looks in part of the offense. That's so huge for Bruce Pearl's system. It was what opened up the center and allowed Janai Broom to finally start scoring some points because, like every other team, they were keyed on number 4 from the get-go tonight, which made it a lot harder. So I think those are great arguments for the two of them. But Jackson, I'm feeling the freshman phenom too, man. You've got a Sports Center top 10 play. You've got his first double-digit scoring performance in real play. What do you
Two
think,
freshmen.
man?
I thought you were talking about Pettiford for a second. So it's like two freshman phenoms, man. That's something. I
It's
want to give him,
something.
I want to give out like upward stars or enough. If you played upwards as a kid, the Christian Basketball League. I think down south that's a big deal. Up here, I don't know if they know about it, but you give out little stars, like the most Christ-like star, the
Didn't
best
didn't me and
effort, best
Matt didn't
defense,
me and
best
Matt both
offense.
coach? I think me and Matt
I
both
did
coached
too.
upwards.
I did too, man. But I want to hand him out because Pettiford was our energizer. He kicked us off the ground. He got the run started at the beginning. And hey, some of these trap games, that's all it can take is we were just not hitting the threes we were hitting, and he came and hit them, and then boom, the game was broken wide open. So I want to give it to him for that. I want to give it to CBM for his maturity and saying taking some minutes off there. I think partially he didn't care as much because we were already blowing him out. So of course you can be like, yeah, let Howard play more, but still there was some maturity there. You want to give it to Howard because he was a breakout star in this game, and he also brought energy because people were so excited to see him play out there, and it just brought a different element and speed. And then you want to give it to Miles Kelly too because he was so efficient out there. That's what you want out of your guards. He did. If you're looking at like roles, what he did his role tonight at 15 points, 4 or 5 from three is you can't ask for a better game from Alex Kelly. That was what you wanted. So it's so hard to give it up. I'll let you pick. I'm between Pettifer and Howard, honestly, which is amazing. Two freshmen, and you
Yeah,
pick
and
between the two, and
I
I'll
am
I'll
too.
back
So
you up.
I'm gonna do what some of our critics have told us we
No
should
dual
do.
MVPs.
No,
No
no, no,
dual
no, no,
MVPs.
no, not
Okay.
dual MVPs. But I'm going to say, listen, it's easy for us to hand Todd Pettiford an MVP. He was a 5-star recruit, one of the top players in America coming in. We've already seen the value that he brings to us, and the value that he brings to us is amazing. There's no doubt about that. In the same way that the value Janai Broom brings to this team is amazing. He's an All American. We expect amazing from him. But Jakai Howard playing this way at this level, even against this kind of competition, it does what Matt talks about all the time. It raises this team's ceiling. So if you ask me the most valuable player from this game, the reason that we cover and the reason that we win this game running away, it's Shakai Howard.
Yes, Jakai Howard, you are the Richmond game MVP, and I'm so glad it came out of Ben's mouth because I'm the one that's been hyping up Howard off the bench for a while now, so at least it wasn't me that had to say it. But it's also just so exciting to have it in his first game back. I'm blown away. He'll probably come crashing back down to earth in the next game or something. That's usually how these freshmen are.
Well,
But
listen,
it, like you
we
said,
thought that
it
about
brings the ceiling up.
Miles Kelly, but look at the Duke game. Look at this game. Miles Kelly is retreating to the mean in the sense that his mean is excellent now. We've got 4 really fantastic performances 8 games into the year from him, and that's not including a game where he missed most of it with an injured wrist. So really, his he's 4 of 7 doing really excellent work in the game. Jackson, let's get into our player breakdown and let's talk about Janai Broom. Janai Broom struggled a little bit today. 1 of 4 from the free throw line, a little uncharacteristic from him. Second game in a row, not hitting a 3-pointer, which we know is a key part of his game. And he did finish with 11 points to extend his streak of double digit scoring to an incredible 34 games. But he had to do it on 10 shots. That's a little rough.
His, if you look at my favorite stat of his today, though, is six assists. I don't know if they were doubling him down there or what, but it was definitely the key for them to take him out of the game. And he was making great passes all night. He was going pass first, and people were hitting the shots. That's why you're seeing a Miles Kelly hitting 4 3-pointers. You're seeing a Pettiford hit as many as he did. How many did Pettiford get? 4 threes. You saw a lot of amazing passing tonight that led to a lot of open shots, and a bunch of that came from our centers. Dylan Cardwell, who also had 2 assists, and Janai Broom passing the ball out from down there. So I think, yeah, he didn't shoot as well as we'd like. He's still really hunting for that 3-point shot because I think he knows that's what he needs to show this year if he wants to take the next step in the NBA. So I'm cool with him doing 2 or 3 a night. I think we're in agreement on that one. He was 0 of
Oh,
2
yeah.
tonight. I've rarely seen him all year even take bad 3-pointers. Early in the year, maybe a little bit, he was doing some weird step back things, but like he's taking good ones. They don't look bad. I'm cool with him keep doing it, but he was 5 of 10 from the field. Last game against Duke, he had a couple long twos. I think he needs to make sure he's working into a little closer twos on there. But other than that, I'm still happy with him. I think they just, he went past first tonight, and we made the other team pay for it. And I
I mean,
think
Jackson, we
we'll
were
see
up.
other teams keep doing that back and forth. You can't pick your poison. Either our guards and Miles Kelly's going to get that buttery three, or you're gonna have to put Janai Broom 1-on-1. So pick your poison. That's what happened tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson, we were up. I'm trying to do the math here. We were up 25 points at the half, and Janai Broom was flirting with a triple double midway through the second half. He finished with those 6 assists, like you were talking about, to lead the team. That's our center. I know he's playing some four now, but that's our center leading the team with 6 assists. He also added 5 rebounds and 2 blocks. So even on a night where it's not, another 20 and 10 game from him, he is still stuffing that stat sheet. And his defense continues to be absolutely blistering. Jackson, I don't know if you can see this at the top of the Ferg stat sheet here. We held Richmond without a point for the final 5 minutes and 29 seconds. That is
Wow.
insane. That is an insane
Well,
level of defense to be playing.
and right off the bat, we got them too. 3 possessions, 3 turnovers to start the game off with Richmond. That's kind of, you could just tell they did not have it athletically for us, but it also showed that we came out hard on them, and that's great on Bruce for motivating these guys. You heard me last pod talking about trap game. Any of these could be a trap game. We just saw Memphis go down to Arkansas State. We
No
just saw
traps.
Kansas go down to Missouri.
No traps.
It doesn't happen in Auburn. How many games in a row is it now for out of conference at home in Neville?
I believe Ryan pulled it up. I think we're at 46.
Don't take it for granted,
Ryan, if
guys.
you're in the chat, let us know.
You've seen great teams like Kentucky do it too. They go down to like Evansville randomly. You see it every 2 or 3 years from great teams. They go down at home to some random team because they get, unmotivated. They've got a bunch of 5-star whatevers. Didn't happen for us because Bruce is always motivating these teams, and he always has a lot of great guys off the bench that bring energy in games like this. So
Oh,
just enjoy
no,
while you got it.
Jackson, I'm sorry. I have to correct myself. 58, 58 non-conference games in Neville Arena
Leading the
in
nation.
a row.
Leading the nation. I'm sure, I don't know what the record is, but I'm sure, I don't know. We'll see. We'll look it up ourselves. If anybody in the chat knows, we've got a couple people in the chat too. We got Pocket Watch, Mr. Beautiful, Ryan's chiming in. I think we got Chris Thomas in, says War Eagle, glad to see us rest Broom a bit and really work on the inside out game. Mr. Beautiful says Miles Kelly is the nice surprise of the season, shooting threes at over 45% so far, and the fives before today's game. Unreal. Pocket Watch, I called it. Howard was the MVP. Yeah, there you go, Pocket Watch. Who else we got on here? Denver Jones. I feel like maybe there's a little conversation there on he struggled at Duke. He still didn't finish a layup tonight. I really have been kind of beating the drum that I think he can drive and finish better than last year and better than some point guards in the past, but he has not been showing it recently. 3 of 10 from the field against a pretty bad Richmond team. 3 of 8 from three. He had a really nice three off a pick where he came around and did it in motion that looked really nice. I'm thinking, okay, maybe he needs some more emotion because it was surprising that he's missing these open threes. That's where I would have thought would be perfect for him, but it seems like maybe he needs to be moving a little bit to hit these.
No, I think the curl action is sort of where he's a lot more comfortable. That's him playing that natural two guard position that he, I believe, played when he was at FIU. Though I think he also played some point for them as well. Tahad played 21 minutes tonight, and JP Pegues played 4 minutes tonight. So
And the
I don't.
reason we didn't get the 100, I'm sorry. Like I
Yeah,
hate to be a
and
hater,
look,
and I'm
I
cheering for him, but he missed the two that would have gotten us to 100 on a. I mean, it wasn't like the easiest layup, but it's at garbage time with like 30 seconds left. Just hit that layup,
yeah,
man.
you got to make that. But I've been JP's biggest defender. My Ben Stradamus pick is looking pretty bad right now. That he was going to be our second leading scorer today. I feel like the JP Pegues experiment might be over, barring injury.
I think we
And
saw the future of like going into conference play. We've taken Howard off the bench. We put JP back on it. I think like we're seeing what we thought. Well, I don't know. We didn't think JP was going to be out, but I think this is what we're all in agreement is the better lineup and
and I
have
think
Pettiford play more minutes too.
and I think Chris Moore is less of a defensive liability. So what I think you're going to see a little bit going forward is that we're going to slot Chris Moore into the four. Jakai is going to play three, and we might slide Chad Baker Mazzara up to two and let him run the two guard with Tahad a little bit just to get Denver some rest in there. But again, if losing JP as a ball handler is brutal for Denver's ability to be a pure shooter, which he tried to be a little bit more of today. He played our most minutes, I believe, with 26. So I think he was out there a lot in a lot of different positions. He still had 5 rebounds, so it's good to see him crash the board from that guard position. We really struggled with that at Duke. But somebody else that crashed the board was really well today and was our leading rebounder, tied with Chad Baker. Chaney Johnson, 7 points on 4 shots. He didn't attempt a three-pointer tonight. 6 rebounds, 1 assist. Not a bad stat line from Chaney Johnson. Kind of quiet.
I'm watching his foul games at this point. He had 2 fouls pretty early in this one too, and I'm worried that he I don't think it's going to be a problem. I'm just on the watch for it right now. He has a lot of like he'll get beat and then follow and foul the guy afterwards, which is really annoying. At that point, if you're already beat, just don't foul unless it's like end of possession or like end of game possessions where you have to kind of stop that too and hope that they don't make one of the free throws. But it's just become quite a little bit of a trend. So we'll see over the next 2 or 3 games if he's still doing it that he needs to address that. But for now, I'm happy with Chaney. He's had some really strong games this year. He's had some quiet games this year. I don't think we need Chaney to be some. He's done more this year than I already expected of him. So quiet game this one, fine, not a big deal. I don't know if I agree totally on your rotation idea or what's going to happen. It was so easy to break down our rotations last game. We had 2 players for every position, and every time one went out, one came back in. This year we're playing a lot more with people playing different positions and playing different minutes. I think Denver, in my head, Denver and Pettiford are going to be the point guards going forward. So you don't necessarily need Denver to be a huge scorer. He might need to be more efficient than he was tonight. But I think overall, like I'm still very happy with Denver's point guard position. I think if at the end of the year Pettiford's starting at point guard, or more likely what's probably going to happen is Pettiford's going to play more minutes than Denver Jones at point guard from a pure talent standpoint, and he's going to come off the bench as that like energizer guy right after the first time out. So I think that's how I see it going. I'm happy with all our guards right now, pretty much, other than JP, but I think we're seeing where that's going to be.
Yeah. I think we might see some of his minutes get stolen by Blake Michalek tonight, who had a really great driving layup to get it to 98. Let's talk about Dylan Cardwell's game. Dylan Cardwell quietly had another really great game. He played 20 minutes tonight. He finished with 7 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. His active hands on defense against these smaller teams continues to be excellent.
Defense is still great, still putting back dunks, getting twos in transition, getting some alley oops. Him and Broom have gotten a little bit of a connection going with these alley oops, which is fun. I think he showed, I think we all hoped he would take a little bit of a step forward offensively. Still hasn't. He's trying to. It just shows you too how great Broom is to watch Dylan Cardwell try to back somebody down, even like a Richmond that's so undersized and still not be able to finish some of those hook shots or some of those back down like medium mid-sized twos just doesn't go out for Cardwell because he does not have the touch that Broom has. So, just know your role. Keep putting those dunks back. Keep bringing the energy. He had a great moment tonight where he blocked the mess out of a guy, but they got the ball back again, and then he tried to two-hand block him, and I think it looked clean to me. And they called a foul, but he still pumped up the crowd with it. So just
Oh
love
yeah.
watching Dylan Cardwell out there. He's always a pleasure to watch. Good kid. I think there'll be games like we saw, I think in the Maui final where he scored 20 points. Like there will be more games where he, jumps out there and it's just his night with a good matchup. And there'll be nights where it's quiet, but he does the little things right that gets us going. And like huge blessing to have someone like Cardwell as your backup behind Broom or even playing at the same time as Broom. Not many schools have
Yeah,
that. So
not a not a
earlier.
backup, not a backup. He
Yeah.
continues to start. He continues to be part of our starting five. That's the wild part to me. And we're continuing to see this incredible development with the passing between him and Janai. I mean, that's where a lot of those assists came from, was those two big guys finding each other. It reminds me a lot of the echoes of last year when we would see Jalen Williams come crashing in and Janai could find him on the cut or find him with a little shrimp on him. Jackson, I want to read some team stats out for you. We held Richmond to 27% shooting from the floor. They only made 16 baskets the whole game. Only 8 of those came from assists. That is some incredible defense. We held them to 20% from three. They shot 33 pointers tonight. They only made 6. Now, they did hit 84% of their free throws. Our free throw shooting left a little bit to be desired tonight, but we out rebounded them in a very, very big way. We finished with 49 rebounds to their 31s. I already mentioned assists. They had 8 assists. We had 23 assists. We almost tripled them up in assists, which is just crazy. And your favorite stat of the night, the block party, 5-3, a nice modest win, but they doubled us up in turnovers. We finished with 7 turnovers for the game. Anytime you can get under double digits, Matt Donaldson is out there happy somewhere.
I mean, they were just completely outmatched out there. We knew it, but it's just always a little scary. Anything can happen any night with college kids. So they were completely outmatched from the beginning to the end. The things we learned really were it's great. Thank God we decided to change up the lineup a bit with Howard tonight, put some Hudson in, so we could actually learn something this game. And we've learned so much because of how great our schedule is. So even in these ones like this, where we have a little break to play some guys like this, amazing. I was looking at some season stats. I feel like the stats from this game, I mean, the biggest one I'm probably looking at is 43% from three. I'm always worried in a smaller game like this, like when you're completely athletically outmatched, we can bully them. We could bully tonight and win by 15 points just from bullying them, just from being bigger and faster and stronger, getting more rebounds, putting things back. What I'm looking at is, did we actually do it efficiently like a good team would? And we did by hitting 43% from three, not turning the ball over too often. So that's great to see. Turning them over pretty often. I'm looking at season stats over here. We're shooting 36% from three for the season so far, which is great. I kind of anything above 35% is really great for me. 33% to me is kind of like average, like you're good, you're not great. Anything closer to 30% or below is hard to watch. We had 2 years ago where it was we could not buy a three. I think we ended the season with like 29% from three, which is hard to watch all year. So 36% looking really good against great competition too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would love to see, some other stats on like where we're leading. Then I know Janai Broom was leading the nation in blocks at one point. I might look that up while you talk about team stats.
Well, let's actually, while you're looking up our stats for the year, I'll go ahead and talk about our next matchup. We have a long, blessed break until Saturday when we're playing in the Holiday Hoops Giving Classic against a familiar Big Ten foe in Ohio State. Ohio State started the year off hot, beating a ranked Texas team and then blowing the doors off of Youngstown State. But since then, the wheels have kind of fallen off for them. We thought this might improve into one of our more interesting non-conference matchups. But Ohio State was ranked 21st when they got the doors blown off by A&M, 78-64. They also lost to Pitt in overtime in a tough game. And then this month they've had a rough go of it. They got absolutely obliterated by Maryland by what is this 20 24 points in a blowout against Maryland, and they just lost a close game to. Or no, they beat Rutgers. Oh, good for them. So Rutgers is one of those teams. They got a ton of talent, man. They got a couple of really high end recruits leading their team
Who
this
was
year.
the guy we almost got? Ace Bailey, maybe?
Yeah, Ace Bailey, I believe. Dylan Harper, I don't think was ever really considering us, but Ace Bailey considered us pretty heavily for a while and then decided to stay home. He's like Pettiford. He's a Jersey kid. But Ohio State did beat Rutgers in their tune-up game 80-66. So a pretty solid win for them there. And then they're also now off until this Saturday matchup. It's going to be on ESPN2. Jackson, we're tipping at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a reasonable start time for us here on the East Coast. Don't you love it?
We don't play again until next Saturday. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
Wow. All right. We're some big gaps just at a conference. I guess when you play 3 games in a row like that in Maui. So I'm glad we did a pod after every one of those because now we're kind of like getting distant. But that's another great one for us on the East Coast. 1 o'clock. We'll be there live doing that. I looked up some stats. When Janibrum's not leading the nation in blocks anymore, but he is seventh in the nation in blocks per game, which is fun.
not bad.
Nobody else. Arkansas's got a guy in the top 10. We are number one in the nation in Kim Palm rankings, which we love to see. Auburn's number one, Tennessee number two, Duke number three, Gonzaga four, Houston five. We'll see what the AP says on Monday. That'll be interesting.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
still leading the nation in Kim Palm offense, which is just really something. I don't know if we're quite understanding that yet, and hopefully that'll develop more as the year goes on. Like when I think of this team, I'm not thinking, wow, blows you away offense. Like, oh, that's what our deal is. Our like identity is an amazing offense, or just a great team all around. And just so happens that means we're the best in the freaking nation on offense right now. And for defense, I know we were kind of higher up there too. We are number, where is it? We ranked weird here. I have it pulled up, but we're further down now. Maybe like 23 in the nation. It looks like it doesn't have the rank next to it. So, anyways, looks like we're 23 in the nation on defense, which is still great. Also, top
Pretty
25 in the
good.
nation.
Pretty good.
So we're still looking great out there. The AP poll is going to be interesting. I'm still always hunting for narratives. We are number two right now. We lost to Duke. We beat Richmond. The team in front of us was Kansas at number one, and they lost 2 games in a row. It's been a long time since a number one lost 2 games in a row, I believe. I don't know what the stat is, but it doesn't happen every day. They lost at Creighton, I believe, and then they've lost at Missouri. So that's a big deal for them to go down
And they lost
twice.
both of those games by double digits, by the way. It wasn't like our loss at Duke where they were still, struggling to fight for it at the end. It was pretty not close.
Most people are very still respecting us, even they know that losing a close game to a top 10 Duke with several first round picks is not a bad loss at all. So there's a chance we might be number one, but I think it's more likely that undefeated Tennessee is going to be number one. They haven't played anywhere near as good of a schedule as us, but just the way AP voters are, they're not going to want to move us up to number one with a big loss that week that everybody watched it, but they'll move Tennessee up. So we'll see how that goes. We'll keep fighting for the number one. If we had been number one going into Duke like that and lost and then beat Richmond, I think they would have kept us at number one, but that's just how it is.
Yeah, Tennessee's best win of the year was over Baylor in the Baha Mar Hoops Bahamas Championship. They won that game 77-62. They beat the doors off of Virginia, who really, we know the wheels have really fallen off of that program, 64-42. And then they just beat Syracuse 96-70 in the SEC ACC Challenge. Unfortunately, they got to play their game at home. So a little bit easier playing that on Rocky Top than trying to go to Durham and win.
Let us know if you're going to the Ohio State game. I know a lot of people have had fun over the years at the Atlanta one. I think I'm not as big of a fan of these neutrals, but I believe Storm and Norman Ryan brought up a good point that some of these neutrals are getting played during finals week or after finals week for students. So we weren't going to have great home atmospheres anyway. So if we're going to do them, we might as well do them late like this. I believe the students will be done with finals probably by Saturday. And then Purdue will be in Birmingham over the Christmas break. I'll actually be down south for that. I don't know if I'll go to the game or not. If anybody's got some free tickets for the Jungle Podcast, let me know. We'll shout you out there. But that'll be a fun one to watch. This out of conference, man, is blasting by, right? We've got what,
I
5 more
cannot
games?
believe how fast it's moved. And Jackson, we're 7-1, man. We're Maui champs, and we
We're
get a
having
chance to
fun.
pick up two more quality out of conference wins. Ohio State, we don't know how good they're going to be at the end of the year. This is probably not going to be a quad one win, but it's a chance for a good quad two win. Definitely.
No, yeah, we got at least one more quad one win, right, with Purdue if we beat them. So we're
That's
still
right.
leading the nation in that. I don't know what those stats are, but I know everyone's talking about how we're really blowing the whole nation out in great wins right now. So I'm having a great time out there. This was another fun win. It's not one we'll talk about in the future very much probably, but other than maybe that's the game that Howard broke out in. Pugwatch asked what game. Purdue. I'll be down south. I don't know if I'll go to the Purdue game or not. I'll be seeing some family for Christmas, but hey, if the free ticket falls into my
If you're
hand,
around the 334, maybe Jackson will host a little live competition at a bar somewhere. Who
here
knows?
we go. All right, Ben, I got one question for you. Are you having
What's
fun?
that, Jackson? Ooh, I'm having so much fun. War damn eagle.
War Eagle.
YouTube, thanks for showing up late, man. We appreciate everybody being here. There's only like 5 or 6 of you, but it's still a good group.
I think it's growing. Flex Machine got in late here. Good to
Yeah,
see you.
he said he's going to catch the rest of it on Spotify tomorrow. Don't
We
forget to
might,
rate us if you're here on YouTube and you haven't thrown us a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
you
It
guys,
helps.
the people that are in right now and that come to the YouTube lives, y'all communicate more than anybody else with us, really. But let us know what you think about. We do these after every game, and that can be good and bad for us. We've never missed a post game, honestly, which is great after 4 years of doing this. But if it's better for one of these to be like a timed thing, like if we did every Sunday at 8 p.m. instead of doing the post games, if that's better for people, let us know. But I think people like this better. I think people like somewhere to go after the games, but
Yeah,
it
for
might be
sure.
easier for our schedules in the future if we did a weekly live situation on
Yeah,
Sunday
maybe.
nights or something.
All right, YouTube, we're going to turn off your stream real quick because Jackson and I got to talk some business. All right, how do I
See you
stop the
guys.
stream here?